Okay, so for our fall mid-semester review, we're going to be covering all the things we've done so far. So on this first one, the table below shows the relationship between the total distance in miles y a private car has driven and the number of hours x it was driving. What is the rate of change? Rate of change means slope. Anytime they're asking us to find slope, we need to be using stat. So on my calculator, I'm going to go to the table. You label the x and the y, and you type in our points. So we have 2, 3, 5, and 9 as our x values. As our y values, I have 950, 1425, 2375, and 4275. Make sure your cursor is after your points. You click Menu, 4 for Stat, 1 for Stat Calc, and 3 for Linear Regression. The x list is your x values, the y list is your y values, and you click Enter. So our m, or our slope, is 557.261. So if I'm looking at my answer choices, the closest one is going to be this 475. Which is what you get from that first point. From here to here is 475. Here to here is 1. Which equation is equivalent? Anytime you see equivalent, you could plug these both in your calculators. This equation is a calculator. This is an equation that you can type in your calculator. So we go to the graph. This is not a function, so we do Menu, Graph Entry, Edit. We're going to type it in as a relation because it's not y equals. 2x plus 3y equals 12. So we need to see which one of these matches that line exactly. These are all functions because they're y equals. So Menu, 3, we can type it in as a function. Y equals 2x plus 9. That does not match. Okay. Menu, 3, 1. Y equals negative 2 divided by 3x minus 4. Enter. That does not match that blue line. Menu, 3, 1. Y equals 2 divided by 3x plus 4. Enter. That does not match. Menu, 3, 1. Y equals negative 2 divided by 3x plus 4. That went directly over that first line. That is my answer. So remember, anytime they give you equations, the answer choices are equations, the question is an equation, put them both in your calculator. If I was doing it by hand, we either circle or isolate our y value, opposite side or move this 2x, and we write it side by side. And then the final step is to divide. We're dividing by whatever that coefficient is. You divide each part by 3. So y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4 minus 2/3 x. So it needs a positive 4y intercept and a negative 2/3 slope. What is the value that makes the equation true? This is a one variable equation. So we go to our home screen and we're going to just calculate the solution. So we click Menu, this is Algebra, and we're just going to numerical solve. So the equation that they gave us is 3 parentheses negative 2x plus 7 close parentheses equals negative 6x minus 5. But then we have to tell it what to solve for. So we type comma x. This says no solution found. If I was to do it by hand, we would be distributing this 3. So negative 6x plus 21 equals negative 6x minus 5. You need to move one of the variables. So add 6x, These cancel, so we get 21. These cancel, so we get negative 5. 21 will never equal negative 5, so there's no solution. Which of the following equations are represented by the given table? These are equations right down here. We can put these in our calculator. I'm going to go ahead and clear everything. So we go home to menu C. And then I'm going to go to my graph so I can type in these equations. These are relations because it's not y equals. So menu 3, 2. And we get y plus 105 equals 7 parentheses x minus 5, close parentheses. I don't see anything on my graph, but it doesn't matter. I want to check the specific points. So to get the specific points, you click Menu, Trace, which is 5. First, we need to tell it how to move. So we click 3 and tell it we want to go by ones. Then Menu. Now we're going to actually trace it. So 5 and then 1. So one of our points is at 0, negative 140. That's not what I want. Let's go to negative 5 and see what it's at. Negative 5, negative 175. So this equation does not match. So let's type in our next equation. So I'm going to delete this one. And I type menu 3, type it in as a relation 2, y minus 105 equals 1 divided by 7, parentheses, x plus 5, close parentheses. Then we're going to trace it. Menu 5, and let's see some points. So we have 0, 106. Let's go to negative 5. Negative 5, 105. That looks good. Let's go to negative 15. Ooh. Negative 15, negative 10, or positive 104. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so let's try the next equation. So delete this equation. Menu, graph entry, edit, relation, y minus 105 equals 7 parentheses x plus 5. So menu, we're going to trace it, graph trace. So at negative 5, we're at 105, good. At negative 15, we're at 35, good. If you have 2 points, you know that all the other ones are going to be correct. So this is your answer. Another way of doing this is that these are points, we could put them in stat. So I'd go over here to stat, label the x as x, the y is y. Let's type in some of our points. Negative 40, negative 30, negative 140, negative 70, menu, stat, stat calc, and linear regression. The x is x, the y is y, enter. My m is 7. So that could have told me that this with a slope of 1/7 is not correct, and this with a slope of 1/7 is not correct. Then to look for the points. Remember, the x is the opposite, so it's a positive 5. The y is an opposite, so negative 105. That is not a point on the table. X is the opposite, which is negative 5. The y is the opposite, which is a positive 105. That is a point on the table. But please, please, please check it in your calculator as a relation. What is the y-intercept of this equation? That's an equation. Y-intercepts, we can see that on the graph. So if I go to my graph, I can't type it in as a function, so menu, 3, and we're going to type it in as a relation because it's not y equals 2x plus 3y equals 12. So my y-intercept is at 1, 2, 3, 4. If I was to solve it by hand, we circle or isolate the 3y, move or opposite side that 2x, write it side by side, and then we divide everything by 3. So we get y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. minus 2/3 x. The y-intercept is that b value, which is 4. Negative 2/3 is the slope. How are the graphs of the functions y1 and y2 related if y1 is x and y2 is 2x plus 4? Well, let's graph them. So let's clear those. So menu, graph entry, edit. These are functions because they're y equals. So we have y equals x. And then menu, 3, 1, we have 2x plus 4. Okay, so the graph of y2, so my second line is flatter. No, that's steeper. Okay, the graph of y2 is steeper, yes, and is shifted 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Let's just check the other ones to make sure. The graph of y2 is steeper, yes, and is shifted 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. y2 is steeper and is shifted 4 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. So that is correct. Remember, you also have IHOD over. This plus 4 is outside of the parentheses, so it's going to be a vertical transformation. And because it's outside, it's going to be exactly like you would think. So plus 4 makes it go up. What is the equation of the line that passes through the points negative 3, 9, and 3, negative 3? They gave me 2 points. I need to put them in stack. So I'm going to go on my calculator, because I sure already have it entered, to my table. We can just overwrite these points. So negative 3 and 3, 9 and negative 3. So my equation is y equals negative 2x plus 3. My m is my slope. My b is my y-intercept. For the summer, Josh works at a pizza place. The pizza pie is $5 and each topping is 50 cents. Each goes with that 50 cents. So the equation is c of t equals 0.5t plus 5. If the pizza place only offers 7 toppings, what is the domain of the function? So domain, we have our doctor. His name is xy. So domain is talking about the x values. Instead of x, they're using t. So this is our t, or toppings. So we have to ask ourselves, are toppings discrete or are toppings continuous? Toppings are discrete. You're either putting the pepperoni on there or you're not. So because it's discrete, it needs to be listed as points, which all of these are, okay? And we're asking ourselves, how many toppings can you have? So if I wanted to put it in my calculator, this is a function, so I can do menu 3, 1, 0.5x plus 5. Control T is how we see the table. So our options, you can either have 0 toppings, you can have 1 topping, you can have 2 toppings, 3 toppings, 4 toppings, 5, 6, or 7. The x values, the things I see on this column, go by ones. Over here, you know it's not D or C because those are going by the 50 cents. And here, you can have 0 toppings, so your answer is B. If y varies directly as x, and x is 7 when y is 12, find y when x is 21. That's a lot of information, so let's organize it a little bit. X is 7 when y is 12. Find y when x is 21. So I'm going to put this right here. Now, if we were talking about mass and volume or flour and cookies, you would label these whatever matched up. So to find our solution, you cross multiply and then divide. So we multiply, so I'm going to go to my home screen, just to the basic calculator, 21 times 12, and then divide it by 7, 36. A rocket 2,500 feet above the Earth begins descending that means negative, at a rate of 1,800 feet per minute. So it's starting at this 2,500. It's descending at a rate, so that means 1,800 goes with the x. Which of the following equations best represents the situation? This is 2,500 plus, so it's not this one. This, again, is plus, and it doesn't have the 1,800 with the per or the x. Starts at 2,500, it's descending at 1,800 per. This is my answer. A parachute opens at 2,500 feet above the ground, and the person using it is descending, so again, it's a negative, at a rate of 133 per minute. So we're starting at 2,500, we're descending at 133 per minute. So this has 133 per, but it's not descending. This does not have 133 per. 133 per, but this has a negative starting value, not a negative rate. Starts at that 2,500 and it's got a negative 133. What value of x makes this equation true? So because it's just a one variable, I'm going to go to my calculate screen. We click menu, 3 for algebra, 1 for solve. And we type it in. 2 parentheses negative 3x plus 4, close parentheses, equals negative 6x plus 8, comma, we are solving for x. It tells me my answer is 0. But wait a minute, I don't see 0 as an option. These new calculators, if they tell you 0, it means infinite solutions. Or all real numbers. If I was to do it by hand, you would distribute this 2. So negative 6x plus 8 equals negative 6x plus 8. If I move over a variable, add 6x, add 6x. Those are gone, so you get 8. Those are gone, so you get 8. 8 will always equal 8 no matter what. ZZ Studio charges a one-time sitting fee to take your photograph, then adds 50 cents for each photograph you order. How much does Lifelike Studio charge for that sitting fee? So this each is our slope. The slope is the 50 cents. It's asking for the sitting fee, or wherever it's starting. This starts at 10. What is the value of f of negative 2 for the function f of x equals negative 3 parentheses x plus 1 close parentheses minus 5? This right here is a function. It's f of x. So let's go to our graph. And we're going to type it in as a function. Negative 3 parentheses x plus 1 close parentheses minus 5. What is the value for f of negative 2? Because that negative 2 is inside the parentheses, remember your cheer motions, it is an x value. So we're looking on our table for when that x is negative 2. So you click Control T, go to where the x is negative 2, and it matches up with negative 2. The graph of function n is shown in the grid. What is the 0? 0 means x-intercept. So looking right here, the x-intercept is negative 2. For the summer, Josh works at Pizza Place. The pizza pie is $5 and each topping is 50 cents. This can be represented by CT equals, so it's the same equation we got on the other problem, but this time it's asking us for the range, or the range. That was a typo. So because we know the doctor's name is XY, it's asking for those Y values. Like we discussed on the other problem, this is discrete, because you either have the topping or you don't have the topping. So because it's discrete, they should all be listed as ordered pairs. So if I go in, you can just change it from right here actually, and we're going to type in 0.5x plus 5. So my y values starting at 0 is 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, all the way up, because it wants the y values, to what matches with 7, which is 8.5. What is the rate of cost per picture? So to find rate, that means slope, we're going to be putting it in stat. But I need 2 points. So here's a point at 0, 10. Here's a point at 10, 15. Because it's directly between 10 and 20. So we go on our calculator. I'm just going to clear everything out. So menu 2, menu C. I'm going to go to my table. The X is X. The Y is Y. We type in our points. 0, 10, 10, 15. Make sure your cursor is after your points. We click Menu, 4 for Stat, 1 for Stat Calc, 3 for Linear Regression. The X is X, the Y is Y, Enter. So my M, or my rate of change, or my slope, is 0.5. What is the 0 of the functions shown on the graph? 0 means x-intercept. So the x-intercept is right here at 6. Which representation does not show y is a function of x? For it to be a function, x does not repeat. So all you're looking for is which one has x repeating, because it's not a function. So -3, -3, but really, those are the exact same point. All different. So technically, all of these are functions, but I'm assuming that this one was supposed to be the correct answer because that x value is repeating. Which inequality best represents the domain of the graph? Domain, the doctor, his name is XY. So we know we're talking about x values, x, 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 x. And we also have dealer for domain. Domain is left to right. So the left side of this graph is hitting the x-axis at -5. It's a closed circle. And the right side is hitting the x-axis at -2. And it's an open circle. So we should have -5 with an underline, -2 with an open circle. If it had asked me for the range, we would be using robot. So the bottom hits the y-axis at -4, open circle. The T, or the top, goes across and hits the y-axis at +4, closed circle. So make sure you're reading carefully whether they're asking you for the domain or the range. What is the x-intercept of this equation? That's an equation. I can go to the graph and type it in. Now we know it's an equation, but it's not a function. So we do menu, 3, 2 to type it in as a relation. 2x plus 3y equals 12. And it's asking for the x-intercept. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's hitting your x-axis at 6. Which situation best represents a causation? As the boy's age increases, his shoe size increases. So as you get older, do you have to have a bigger shoe size? When you're a kid, yes, but not always. As the temperature increases, test scores increase? No, that doesn't have to happen. The more lawn Sean mows, the more money he earns? Yes. If you mow more lawns, you have to be paid more money. As the temperature decreases, the number of hot chocolates increase? No, just because it gets colder does not mean that you have to buy more hot chocolate. So ask yourself, does it have to happen? Have to happen. 23 covers what we did up top. What is the range of the graph? So because we have the doctor and his name is XY, we know we are looking for Y's. And remember, another name for y is f of x. So if we had seen f of x in here, that would have been fine. But these are just normal x, so you know it can't be A or C. And then we also have robot. So because it's range, it goes from bottom. The bottom of this graph hits the y-axis at -4, open circle, to top. The top of this graph would hit the y-axis at a +4, closed circle. So the answer is D. What value of x makes this equation true? This only has one variable, so we need to go to our calculate screen. We click Menu, Algebra, Numerical Solve, and we type in the equation. 15 minus 1 divided by 6, parentheses, 6x minus 12, close parentheses, equals 3 divided by 4, parentheses, 8x plus 4, close parentheses. Then we have to tell it what to solve for, so comma x. And my answer is 2. If I like to do it by hand, make sure you're distributing the -1/6. So we get 15 minus 1/6 of 6 is 1x. Negative and a negative is a positive, and 1/6 times 12 is 2. Now we're distributing the 3/4 to both parts. So we get 6x, and then 3/4 of 4 is +3. We need to combine our like terms, so the 15 and 2, so -1x plus 17 equals 6x plus 3. To get rid of the 6x, we subtract 6x, subtract 6x. So we get -7x plus 17 equals 3. Subtract the 17, subtract the 17. So -7x equals a -14. Divide by the -7, divide by the -7. So x equals a +2. But guys, if we can do it in our calculator, so much easier, and we know it's correct. So check, check, check on your calculator.